Yeah.
Hi, Alex. Thanks for joining us for this short conversation. You're the senior pastor of Streatham Central Church, but as of September, 2 days a week, you're giving yourself to something called the Eternal Friends Trust. Can you tell us what that is and why you decided to do that?
Yeah, I it's been something that the Lord's developed over the last however many years. I come from relative wealth, not huge wealth, but I've had to manage the family finances ever since my father died. And in that process, some financial mess hit the family with us having to sue some tax advisors back in 2018. And it was just the time when I was preaching through Luke 16, where Jesus says this amazing thing of um, the people of this world are more shrewd with their worldly wealth than the people of the light. Therefore, and we'd assume he'd say, therefore, be nothing like them. But actually, he says, therefore, I tell you, use your worldly wealth to make friends for yourselves, so that after it is gone, you'll be welcomed into eternal dwellings. So think about the financial wealth that God has given you, small or big, and think about how you can use that for the sake of the future, of bringing people with you to eternity. And I had to pray through what I was going to do with this court case. And over the years, the Lord has answered that prayer in me actually now going part-time in order to work for Eternal Friends. And that Eternal Friends has two aims. One is to help churches and Christian organizations buy houses like we've been able to. And we can talk about that a bit more. And the other is to help Christians to be shrewd and entrepreneurial in the way that they use their past, current, or future wealth for the sake of the gospel.
Thank you. And you're going to tell us a little bit on the evening about how Streatham managed to buy a house.
Yeah.
But just tell us now, why did you decide to buy a house as a church? It was relatively early days as a church, and maybe there were other things you could have been spending your money on.
Yeah. Well, I agreed with that sentiment, and we were looking to rent just before we launched. We were trying to move into Streatham. We were in Tooting, and I didn't want to buy because I thought that was too much of a financial commitment, and the church should focus on other things. But the Lord had other plans. He closed loads of doors. We just weren't able to rent. It seemed very odd. And then through some extraordinary answered prayers, we ended up spending about an hour looking for a house, and it was under offer by the Tuesday. And we've ended up with this house that I'm sitting in now. And we would have, with hindsight, we would have spent 35 plus £1,000 a year renting a place like this, and probably something smaller. And instead, through the Lord's kindness, he's enabled us to raise money very, very efficiently. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about when I come to meet with you guys, which means that instead of pouring money into rent, we've been able to put it into this house. And the church now owns half of this house, which is probably worth the best part of £1 million. And so it's just been a huge blessing to us as a church family. It has cost us less than it would have been to rent, and we're now established for the future. And so I'd encourage other churches to think about this. And I'm working with other Christians who've advised churches on this, and a charity in particular, to help churches do this in the most efficient way.
Great, thank you. Now, when we come to this online meeting in a few weeks' time, some of us in the church family will be homeowners, some will be renting, some will have quite a bit of money, some won't have very much money. What would you say to kind of encourage as many of us as can to come along? Why would it be worth it?
I think if you value the ministry of your church, then you will want to invest in it in all kinds of ways, in attendance, in prayer, and in financial giving. And you want to know that the money that you give is going to be used in the best possible way. And the aim of Eternal Friends and me working with you guys is to help you use the money that God has given you in the best possible way. And so if you have very little, well, Jesus says, if you're trustworthy with very little, you'll be entrusted with much. And if you've already been entrusted with much, he expects you to steward that well. And we're going to think of lots of different ways in which you could steward the very little through to the much, to use the resources God has given you to the best of your ability.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Alex. We're looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks. Thank you.
Thanks.